Welcome into another episode of The Voice of Camp Nathaniel. This is Lee Sharp here, hanging out with Mr. I'm trying to think of an adjective here. The fearless Stephen Bell.
I like that one. I was going to try to come up with an adjective, just like make one up off the top of my head. Scrumtralescent.
Scrumtralescent.
I have no idea what that is. I've heard that somewhere before, and I'm almost afraid to look it up. But anywho, hey, you've got the voice of Camp Nathaniel. Are you doing the adjectives now, or?
I don't know. I think we can keep mixing it up.
We'll keep mixing it up. Hey, the last episode, if you guys listen, if you did not get a chance to listen, go back and check out the episode from January the 1st. Because we started our part one in a two-part series with Mr. Jeff McIntyre, who has joined us again today.
It's good to be back.
Isn't it though? Lee, what are we talking about today, man? Let's get right into it.
This past episode, we talked about how we've seen God move around Camp Nathaniel in 2023, all the amazing things that have happened, from recovering from floods to women's and men's ministries to fall retreats to summer camp.
So
many things that are happening, and we weren't able. I sat down. This was a few days ago. I sat down to go work through what we were going to talk about on a podcast because we knew that we wanted to invite you, Jeff. So, hey guys, Jeff is here.
I'm here.
He can say hi. There we go. And I had sat down to go work through what we needed to talk about. And after putting all of the different thoughts down on paper, I threw it onto Steven's desk. And Steven goes, "That's too much for a 30-minute episode.
We can't do that.
We can't do that."
No way.
And then he had the brilliant idea of, let's split it into two here.
Let's do a sequel.
We are continuing on with kind of a part two of what God has been doing. And then we're going to look forward. We're looking back to see what he's done, and we're going to look forward to see what we're hoping and praying that he's going to do in 2024.
That's pretty good stuff, man. Almost sounds like a segue.
It almost sounds like a segue.
Let's go. So where are we going, man? Jeff, thanks for joining us again, and being part of the discussion. And we've got, as Lee said, a lot to talk about. So let's jump right into it, guys.
So we've got a lot of new people here at Camp Nathaniel.
Right. So, little backstory here.
Okay.
About 6 years ago, some people don't know, are not aware of, the mission dynamic as far as the mission families that were involved. But the dynamic was basically this: we had 0 families that were under the age of 45.
That's a little different now. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. And, as you start looking into the future, you realize, wait a minute, there's got to be people. Here's the reality. In order to do ministry, you have to have people. You have to have people. And some of us who have been with the mission for a long time started looking around and going, who are these people that will be coming in behind us? And so we began praying, and we specifically began praying that God would raise up couples, singles, people who would look at Camp Nathaniel as a place where they feel that God could use them in service, full-time service. And there was a concerted effort to recruit, to talk to encourage people into full-time ministry. And about 5 years ago, God used that, I believe, and he started raising up people to serve here at Camp Nathaniel. And a lot of people may or may not be aware of this, but in the last 5.5 years, God has brought on 5 new couples and 3 single people to join the staff here at Camp Nathaniel. So,
and a lot of kids.
And Stephen, me and you are part of this.
I know, man.
We are results of them
You
praying
too.
For that years ago. Not that we're amazing in any sort of way, but
So the exciting thing for me as the director is this: I knew in my heart that God wasn't done with Camp Nathaniel, but I was a little bit nervous about how this work was going to be able to continue at the level that we wanted to see it continue at without people. And not only has God brought in people to sustain the ministry and keep it at that level, but as we talked about just last podcast, the ministry has grown. Yeah, we've seen new things come out. We've seen the ministry expand because of the amount of people that God's brought in. We've always had different ideas of how we could do more ministry. The problem is you can't do more ministry without more people. It takes people to do that ministry. And so God has supplied that. And so as he is faithful in supplying that, then that allows us the opportunity to look at different avenues to be able to reach and connect and minister to people in our area. And so that's the exciting part for me as the director, is to see, you know what? God's got this. He's already moving in the hearts of people and bringing people in to partner with us, to join us in ministry, so that we can not only just continue the work, but even in some cases grow the ministry. So that's exciting.
And it's not anything new. This is, I know we've mentioned this on a few different podcasts. We are now 90 plus years.
We're going into our 92nd year of ministry. God has been faithful. We are what some people may not know this, but we are considered a non-denominational nonprofit organization. We don't get any big checks from denominations or anything like that. We are what we would call a pure faith-based organization. All of our missionaries raise support in order to be here. The mission itself has a general fund that is supported by donors. Anything and everything that we do is from gifts from individuals, churches, businesses, people who are like-minded, who are passionate about what we do and want to partner with us. And so let me just say thank you to all of you who are part of that base. We depend on you. We look to God first, but we look to God to move in the hearts of his people in order to support this work. And so we are grateful and we're thankful that he has continued to be faithful in doing that, so that we can move forward and do these ministries.
And this is how camp has always operated.
Operated.
I mean, from the beginning, this is how this has worked.
Think about this. Camp, camp started in 1932. I don't know if anybody knows their history, but America wasn't in a good financial place in 1932.
No.
And yet God, in that time, rose up, obviously our founder, Garland Franklin, who obviously was moved by God to start this ministry, used him in a special way, and even at the point of that time in history, raised a donor base in order to start this ministry. And I look back at that and just say, if that's not the hand of God, I don't know what is.
Right.
So we're excited to be able to, and listen, and from 1932 until now, there has been scores of faithful people who have done the work faithfully. Hard work, hard ministry. If you don't know the history of our mission, we have a book that has been printed that talks about it. But it's humbling to think that we stand on the shoulders of those people who came before us and did this work, and it's because of what they did that we're able to launch and continue this work and do. Keep doing that work, and hopefully at a level that that honors God.
I mean, at this moment, we three are sitting in the Camp Nathaniel Chapel, which has a big stone right on the corner of it that talks about it being completed in 1941.
That's right.
We are literally in the middle of history here.
Right. Yeah. And and even this room, how much ministry has gone out of this radio room that we're in. I'm looking at a reel-to-reel, an old reel-to-reel tape where we used to do the voice of Camp Nathaniel on reel-to-reel tape and send that in to the Hazard radio station that got played. We were the longest running program on the Hazard radio station.
Well, so, and honestly, if I'm not mistaken, the voice of Camp Nathaniel outside of summer camp itself is probably the longest running program that camp has as a ministry.
Absolutely, it is.
It's changed formats and different things like that. But
we're now a podcast. But you're right. It is one of the longest running ministries that we've used to outreach and let people know about what's going on. So you're exactly right.
Good deal.
And so talking about our new people, so we talked about how we're supported by just the generosity of God through his people.
Right.
That's how we're supported. That's how we run, which is if you're not a part of our if you've not been a part of camp, or you've not been a part of ministries and whatnot for a while, that's going to sound really weird and really strange. But when new people come in, they build a team of people to come around them to pray and to support them so that they can get in here full time. Because when we come to camp, we come for some full time work. We don't just come to do a fun little side thing on the weekends or something. This is our whole. It's our whole job.
Yeah, we talked about it last podcast about how some people have this idea that Camp Nathaniel is just a summer program that runs and then that's it. And actually, I've had some people ask our missionaries, "Well, what do you do the rest of the year?" What's good? And so it's our job to make sure that we communicate that. Listen, this is a full-time job that goes year round. It's not just 7 weeks in the summer or 8 weeks in the summer. The ministries that we talked about in the last podcast, hopefully. Illuminates all the work that goes into all the different ministries that we do. And people who are here are working hard. As the director, I just want to say, I am so privileged to work with a group of people that are dedicated, that are focused on reaching out and having an impact on their community in a selfless way. It's a joy to be able to lead an organization and a mission like this. And I'm thankful for everybody who's involved. But the cool part is it's not done. And I think we'll talk about
We've
that
got some
today.
brand new people that have jumped in this past year. And
a lot of brand new people.
New people that jumped in or are just now getting started on building that team of people and whatnot. And so we're just going to run through some of them here. We can start with Mr. Actually, you've already met one of them.
He joined us on the Christmas podcast
on the
that
Christmas
we did
episode
just a month ago, and that's Mr. Nathan Keeney.
Mr. Nathan Keeney. He was. I think we mentioned it on that podcast. We were getting ready for it. We were getting prepped for it. And he came by, he happened to be walking by my office when we were getting ready. And he was like, "You're doing a Christmas episode." So if that gives you any clue on Mr. Keeney, that just kind of encapsulates he's very excited.
Well, Nathan, I met Nathan probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago at actually one of our trips out to one of our local Christian colleges that we visit out in Wyoming. And he was a student there, and I met with him and thought that he would be a good fit for our mission, but he felt like God was leading him to something different. But I'll make a long story short here. He did join another organization, an actual camp that he grew up in. He felt kind of had those emotional ties and really felt like God was calling him there. It was out in his native Montana. Where he was from, and
it's cold up there.
Yeah, and the first thing I tell anybody who's looking at maybe joining a ministry full time and looking at us, I don't want you here if God doesn't want you here. We need to make sure that's first and foremost. And ministering in a place like southeastern Kentucky, the people are beautiful, the area is beautiful, but it is a little different of a culture. That's not to say anything negative. It's just different. And so if you're coming from, an urban area or city or anything, moving to a place like this, there's going to be some challenges and some struggles. And I knew that Nathan being out from Montana, that wasn't going to be the issue. It was probably more the distance, right? When you're leaving family, coming all the way from Montana to Kentucky, you have to be aware of, listen, I'm going to be sacrificing some things. Yeah. And, but Nathan had come on board, he did a great job of building that the team of partners that he has. As of right now, he is actually fully supported, and he is actively involved in Letcher County Schools, ministering with Ben and Jasmine Wittenbach. Because he's had camp experience at his previous ministry, he's not. What should I say? He's not unaware of what summer camp ministry is, the grind that it brings sometimes. And so we're excited about the skill set that he brings and excited to have him on staff.
Awesome. Now, not only Keeney, but we've got a lot of people with the last name is K, I'll tell you that.
Yes.
We've got Cody and Ashley Coster, who have been part of the mission in the past year, serving as interns.
Right.
And now they are currently in the process of raising support, Lord willing, to be here full time.
Right. Actually, their interview has happened, and they're going to be raising support here in just a little bit. Actually, they're probably actively trying to do that right now. Backstory on Cody and Ashley. Cody worked here at camp as a summer staff worker 5 years ago, and got involved in the outdoor ed program that we talked about in the previous podcast. Worked as a volunteer through all 5 weeks of that. And I think it was during that time that God kind of gripped his heart and said, you know what, this could be a future place for me. Ministry was always in his heart. But he also had a particular someone that he was very interested in back in Michigan. And so they got married, started a life, had some things that they needed to take care of there, some school bills and stuff like that. But ministry was never off the radar. And so a couple of years ago, they came back down to visit as a couple. I talked with them, and we have a very unique program, an internship program here at camp for people who are open to God using them in ministry, but maybe not for sure that this is what they should be doing. And so what we try to do is through our internship program, give them a ministry experience for no less than 9 months up to a year, where we invite them to come and partner with us for that time period to see whether or not this ministry might be a good fit for them, and that they would see that God would be leading them to maybe full-time ministry. It might not be with us, but just giving that experience in full-time ministry can open up their heart and their mind to be like, hey, it may not be here at Camp Nathaniel, but ministry might be for me, or maybe not for me. But we kind of figure all that out during that internship, and Cody and Ashley have now concluded that internship, and they have come to the conclusion that this is the place that God wants them to be. So we're excited about what they bring to the table. Yeah. Again, one of those younger couples, 30-ish. And so we're excited about what Cody and Ashley bring to the ministry and how God's going to use them here. And yes, and so they're in the process of raising that partnership of support. And so,
so when somebody does that internship, what does that look like? I guess practically, like, are they getting involved in different things here at camp? Or
so what we want to do in the internship,
there was like a 2-minute thing there on like,
right.
What's the internship?
Sure, I'll real quick. What we try to accomplish in the internship is we try to expose them to all the different types of ministry that we do here at Camp Nathaniel.
Gotcha.
So, our character ed classes, they'll get to visit and see what that looks like. Obviously, being in a cabin, working with kids, working in the kitchen, working they might have a time in the horse barn. They might have a time in maintenance. They might have a time in office work. They might have a time where they experience all the different levels of work and ministry that we do, and we try to implement them, encourage them to get a taste of it all. That way, they can maybe kind of feel that sense of, hey, this is something I really enjoyed, or here's where my skill set seems to fit in, and we want to give them the gamut, I guess you could say, of ministry here at Camp Nathaniel in that 9 months to a year. And then as that time draws near to an end, we'll reevaluate and just say, hey, is this a potential landing spot for you? And again, at the end of that internship, not to sound harsh, but they have the opportunity to say, thank you for that experience. We'll see you later. And we as a mission have an opportunity to say, thank you for giving us your time, and we'll see you later. If we don't think it's a fit, there's no harm, no foul, in the sense that we love them and we're thankful for their service. But if we as leadership don't feel like they're a real good fit for our ministry, then at the end of that internship, it's an opportunity for us to just have a break and end that particular time.
And that's just the leadership being able to discern and being able to lead the mission and all that. And that's sometimes in leadership positions, you've probably figured this out as director, you have to make hard choices and make hard decisions. And
surely not.
We appreciate you being able to do all of those things, because I know that's not an easy task to carry
Don't
around.
You just sit at a desk all day?
Yeah, right. Let me just say this. Everybody is aware of what that is before they go into their internship.
Oh, yeah.
We make that very clear.
Yes.
Listen, we're not making any long-term commitment to you, and you're not making any long-term commitment to us, but you're able to see what we do. We're able to see how you work within our mission family. And if we see that kind of gelling and looking positive, we're going to pursue you hard.
Let's go for it.
We're going to like a college recruiter. We're going to recruit you hard, and we're going to say we think there's a place for you here. If not, then like I said, we don't want you here if God doesn't want you here. And that's got to be that conclusion has to we have to come to that conclusion through both of us. That's got to be a fit for both of us, not just for one of us. So we're very open and honest about that. And God's used that internship to bring on some people who now, after you've kind of had a 9-month or year trial run, you get through a lot of those hard spots that maybe sometimes would have kept somebody from having a really good experience if they had just joined the ministry straight out. They get to, let me just put it this way, they get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
And so they go into it with their eyes wide open, and they know what ministry is. Some people think ministry is this wonderful utopia where everybody is singing Kumbaya and getting along together 100% of the time. Not true. now somebody's saying, what? I thought, listen, we are a group of people that God has assembled with a common goal. And as long as we're keeping that in front of us, a high 90% of the time, we're together.
Right.
And that's all ministry. This isn't just think camp. This is church.
I don't know what you all think we're thinking,
but
so in that year, we get a chance to work through some of those things, right?
Right, absolutely.
We get a chance to expose some of those issues early on, and if those are issues that we can deal with and get over, then that makes those people a good fit. If we're like, that's not rectifying itself, that's not solving itself, then we can make a more knowledgeable decision about the kind of people that we feel God is bringing to us to be part of our full-time staff.
And, since we're on the lines of internship, if I can interject here real quick, because we've just brought on a brand new intern, have we not? We
have, actually, a couple.
A couple, okay.
Couple interns. One was brought on, he applied over the summer, Derek Plitt, who has been on summer staff for 3 summers, and he has been assigned to Harlan County with Grace McIntyre, and he has jumped in. It's like you've heard of dropping your kid in the deep end.
Yeah,
we did that with Derek in ministry. Not ideal. I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't ideal. But we have known Derek for 3 summers. He's worked with us.
He's got a lot of familiarity with camp. Knows the ropes.
We kind of knew who he was. We knew what his potential was, and he was all about it. We didn't do anything that he wasn't aware of, and we knew that it was going to be a big stretch for him. But he has taken on doing the character ed classes with Grace McIntyre in Harlan County, and has done a fantastic job. I checked in with him just a little while ago, and he is absolutely loving what he's doing. He's enjoying getting to form those relationships with those kids in those schools, along with the administrators and teachers. And so we're optimistic about Derek Plitt. And again, he is an intern, and as an intern, there is a level of support that even our interns have to raise. Just because they're not full-time missionaries doesn't mean they don't need some financial backing while they're here for that 9 months to a year. And so Derek Plitt is one of those people who could use a little boost in financial help, and as far as taking care of his needs. He's not starving, let me put it that way. But as he looks forward to maybe God leading him into ministry somewhere, that intern support, which I'll admit is not as high as full-time ministry support. But if that's going to continue, he's going to need some people to be behind him. So Derek Plitt is our first intern. Our second one, we just got in this past fall. Her name is Faith McCurdy. Faith was a summer staffer last summer, worked within the horse program. She's from the Frankfurt area. She just got done last fall doing a 2-month stint out in a program in Montana.
It's cold up there.
It is.
I mean, it keeps getting brought up. I might as well acknowledge it.
But Faith is...
everybody from Montana, we love you, all right? We know that it's cold where you live, but just know that we love you.
That's right.
But Faith is, just an awesome young lady, has a passion for horses for sure. She loves the Lord. And the really neat thing about her doing that program in Montana is that was the same program that James Bennett, who's in charge of our equine program, went through. And
which only serves to better the program here.
Exactly. So that continuity, that all made great sense. And so Faith has been involved in the Trails to Truth program, our equine program. She's going to be helping out James and Hannah Some of you may or may not know, it's not new news, but James and Hannah are going to be expecting a baby here pretty soon.
Sure
That's going
enough.
to take
Very
Hannah.
cool.
That's
Another mission kid out of nowhere.
that's going to take Hannah out of that truth trails to truth in the level that she was at. But Faith's going to be able to bounce right into that. Her and Harley and James will be able to handle that program. But Faith is a great girl, and again, another instance of God bringing in people to help us minister. So we're excited about those 2 interns for sure.
Absolutely. Let's talk. We got a couple of families who are getting ready to come in, and we're talking. You want to talk about?
You talked about last names that started with K. So we've had Keeney, we've had Coster, but we have not talked about Cleaver.
That's right. And this is where we start adding to the mission kid population at this point between the next 2 families coming in.
Yeah. So
I'm excited.
Andrew and Faith Cleaver. They are from. They came to us from a Tennessee area. They were actually involved in a ministry down in Tennessee before they came to ours. But Andrew has a skill set in maintenance, which when you have a little over 500 acres of land and 15 vehicles to maintain and 42 buildings and stuff like that, a maintenance man can come in handy.
You think?
Yeah. So we were really excited when we got to meet them, and their obvious passion for ministry, of wanting to be part of a ministry like ours, was obviously there with his skill set, her skill set as well. She's a full-time mom. They have 4 children. Through land acquisition after the flood, camp was able to get some property and a house that they have worked on, redone, revamped.
Already proven to be a fantastic blessing to camp.
And to have somebody here who's skilled in maintenance, living on campus is going to be a huge benefit. And so they are in the process of raising support, though, and
building that team of people.
Yeah, they're building that team of people right now. I think the last time I checked, they were about 60%. They sometimes in raising support, you kind of hit a brick wall. We'd like to try to get them over that brick wall because we really need them here. And so they're using a lot of their time right now on the road, trying to raise that support base. And just really asking that God would raise up that team of people that would back them and their families so that they can be here full time and involved in the work in a very, very big way. But we're excited about them. And again, our mission family is growing, and God has answered our prayers, and He is continuing to bring in people. And a lot of people would say, "Well, when is the people that you're getting in too much? When do you need to stop?" I can honestly say right now we could take at least two more couples full time to fill in the gaps in areas that we have or are forecasting to have in our ministry. So
and listen,
it would be good to get to that point.
Yeah. It would be, but that shows you, I mean, that alone shows you how broad of a ministry that Camp Nathaniel has.
Exactly.
You know, when we have to fill in X number of gaps in order to effectively minister to people. We're talking about a region here. You know, we're not talking about, we're not just in Knott County. Right. We're talking about a region that camp has impact in. And so, yes, it requires a lot of manpower to do that, but we're very, very thankful for how God has answered those. And then kind of we bring full circle with our new ones coming in. We've got the Rafferty family.
Right. So the Rafferty family, great story there. I'll be as brief as I can, but Katie and Austin were on staff here at Camp Nathaniel together. It's actually where they met, and God used that as a way to bring them together. They were married. We're talking about 7 years ago, 10 years?
Roughly, yeah.
7-8 years ago.
10 years. They just celebrated the 10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary. So a little over 10 years ago, they were on staff. And Austin stayed in the area. Katie was a legacy. We call her legacy campers because she was one of those girls that her mom was a camper before her. Her grandmother, I think, was a camper before her. And so we call
siblings were campers.
Yeah, that's right. All her siblings were campers. And you know, their testimony is that camp has always had a special place in their heart. They had always in the back of their mind actually even thought about, wouldn't it be cool if we could work at camp? That I just think when I hear that, I think that's really, really wild. And God kind of used that, continued to keep that ember of camp kind of growing and glowing in their heart until really the reality of about a year ago, they really started seriously thinking about, wait a minute, this could happen.
Yeah.
And, as Austin tells it, Katie was on board. His kids were on board. As he says, that the problem was him. And
he was the one hitting the brakes.
Yeah,
everybody else is on the gas.
that's right. Everybody's like, let's do this.
Right.
But the reality is that they prayed and came and took an application last summer, filled it out. Our executive team, very, very with excitement, approved them as a missionary appointees. God has used Austin in a very, very powerful way. We talk about raise and support. That's a whole nother story we can't get into. But
that's
God
a whole podcast, man, to be able to hear the
we'll
stories
bring
of God's.
Austin, yeah, we'll bring Austin on for a
Get
podcast
Austin on
to
here.
share that. But God has raised up people who have been enthusiastically excited about partnering with Austin and Katie. And as of the time of this podcast, I would say Katie and Austin will be with us full time by that time. So we're excited about them. We're they again. Very cool. That is a family that brings so much to the mission.
And so many.
And so
they have a lot of. They got quite a few kids.
For those of you who don't know, Austin and Katie are bringing 7 kids with them. And so again, that means that the level of support, obviously, that they would need to raise would be much higher than a traditional family of 4 or 5, or in Stephen's case, 6 kids. The point is the point is this: we look at God supplying that need for them as kind of that final confirmation that God is in their ministry. And there's no doubt that Austin and Katie have experienced that. God has brought in their support really miraculously, I would say almost, and how he has developed their team of partners in backing them. But again, that's a person that Austin's going to do a great job in our school program, probably in Perry County. They've been established there in that county. People know them. They've already got a good reputation, and we're just excited about having that family on board with us.
Good deal.
All right, I got to ask a question here real quick. Talking about adding families, because we've added quite a few. You mentioned in the past 5 years, a lot of new families and a lot of new younger families with children and all that. And we affectionately call all of the children of full-time mission membership, we call them mission kids.
Right.
What's the number of mission kids that we're up
20.
to?
I think when Austin and Katie come in, it'll be 26.
Have we ever had that many mission kids?
Not. I've gone back. This is yeah.
I think we have more mission kids than mission members right
It's
now.
really close, dude.
We're getting close.
I think we have 50. I think we have 56 with all the mission kids and mission families. I think we're 56. So the kids. So we have about 30 mission members, 26 mission kids. That makes up 56. So we are. And I might be
Which is
off.
exciting.
Yeah, I might be a
This is
little
very
bit off.
exciting.
I can redo the numbers. The point is this: we do have a big mission family, and as the director, I love the whole concept of a mission family and what that means. And by the way, we love our mission kids.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission kids. We look at our mission kids as an extension of our ministry.
Absolutely.
There's a reason why God put them in our family, and we want them to know that there's a place for them. That there's a opportunity for them because of the family that God has placed them in. There's going to be opportunities that they're going to have that other kids aren't going to have.
True.
And I think that is a good thing. Some people say, "Oh, it's too bad you're a missionary fan." No, it's awesome that they're part of a mission like ours, and the opportunities and the things that they get to see and the things that they get to partake in, and the environment that we can give them to be able to grow in not only their own personal walk with the Lord, but to see how they can be used to impact the kingdom of Christ. I think it's just so cool.
Yeah.
I just think that is so amazing. And so we value them. We want them to feel like that they have some ownership in this ministry as well, because their parents are part of it. And we try to cultivate that. We try to do it in a way that doesn't allow them to necessarily have free reign or free run over the campgrounds and stuff like that. But the realization is that they're here for long periods of time, and we want them to know that, hey, this is a really great place to be able to spend summers.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
So
we're excited about
we've
that.
got we're hitting into year 92 here, and as we talk about these new families coming in and everything, God is not done with Camp Nathaniel.
That's right.
God is not done yet. And so I'll have to ask you, Jeff, as the mission director, looking forward, what's the big picture for 2024?
Well, we've got challenges. There's no doubt that there's things that we need to do. And so one of the things we're trying to do, and one of the things I've seen over the past few years, and I'm not going to blame everything on COVID. COVID is what it is. The reality is that despite COVID, we as human beings have the opportunity to make decisions and go against the grain and not make excuses for COVID. But part of the things that's happened with COVID is we have seen some of our numbers in some of our ministries drop. And part of that was anticipated. It's not rocket science to understand why that happened. But the thing that's concerning me is those relationships that we had with local churches and people before COVID. We've not been able to kind of reignite those. And so I'm intentionally looking for opportunities to get into some of our local churches here in our area to basically reintroduce camp and camp ministry to the local churches. We are a parachurch organization. I told you in the last podcast, we exist to help and assist the local church in ministry. We want to help them. But as a famous line in one of the movies, Jerry Maguire, if you know that movie good, I don't know if he's got this phrase that says, "Help me help you."
I'm glad he didn't say "show me the money."
Yeah. No, I'm not going to use that phrase. Right. That's not the phrase.
Okay, good.
But he's got this, "Help me help you," and that's really what we wanted. That's kind of our plea to the local churches. Help us help you, and the way that you can help us help you is get your people involved. When we have an activity, get your kids involved in camp. Get your kids involved in our weekend conferences. Get your couples coming to a couples retreat.
That's right.
Help us help you. And that means you making that and taking that initiative to making sure, hey, let's load up a van and go over to Camp Nathaniel tonight. Take advantage of what's going on over there and allow them to help us help and encourage our people. And so I'm doing that with visits to churches. We're doing these things called echoes. This is country. This is over the course of the United States. We've got.
This is really cool, by the way.
Well, our base of support is broad. It's not centrally located, and so my partner in crime, my wife Beth, and I are hitting the road starting in January. We're going to be doing echo meetings in different areas of the country, starting in Florida. If you want to know more information about that, you can actually go online and look at that. We'll be sending out invitations, postcards to these echo meetings. All you have to do is QR code the code on the card, register yourself for one of those meetings. We'll set up, and we want to meet with you face to face, give you an update, let you know what God is doing in our ministry. And we just want to have some time to reconnect with you. We want to have time. Really, I'll just get back to this. We want to reintroduce you to what's going on at Camp Nathaniel and its ministries, and hopefully you will see that Camp Nathaniel is on the verge of really busting out in a lot of different areas of ministry. But we need your prayers. We need financial support to do ministry, but we also want you to be in tune, and we would like you. One of the reasons why we're calling them echo meetings is we want you to take what we're telling you and share it with other people.
That's right.
Echo that message. Let them know, hey, there is an organization here in southeastern Kentucky that is doing some fantastic work for the Lord, and they need your prayers. They need your support. They need your willingness to share that with other people so that we can make sure that what we're doing here is Christ-centered, of course, biblically centered, but we want to do it in a way that brings honor and glory to God. We want to do it in a way that people look at and say, that place is really tied in and tuned in to the message of the gospel, and they are an encouragement to the people, as Stephen said, not just a small area, but a region. And we want that to happen. But it's going to take people getting back reintroduced and supporting the work, again, not just financially, with their attendance, with their people, with them getting involved, maybe even volunteering, right? Maybe it's like, hey, wait a minute, you mean I could come over and rake leaves at camp? Yes, you could if you wanted to do that. So there's all these different ways that you can encourage and get involved within the ministry, and I just want to make sure that people are aware of what that is. And then after that, it's up to God to move in their hearts to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, guys, listen, it has been awesome sitting down talking with Jeff over these past 2 episodes. And we're excited for a whole nother year of the Voice of Camp Nathaniel podcast, because you realize what the next episode is, don't you? It's our 1-year anniversary.
It's the birthday episode.
Yay! Of doing it. I mean, obviously,
well, it's not really new.
It's not really. It's Voice of Camp Nathaniel has been around for decades, man. But it's new to us, and we're excited to be able to continue the format like
Can
this.
I throw one more thing out?
Go for it, man.
Hey, at the beginning of the year, we sent out a annual prayer calendar. If you are not on our mailing list and you would like to get on that mailing list, we will back up and we will send you one of those calendars. What it does is it goes through the whole year of all of our activities, all of our events. And then on the flip side, it gives you our staff and gives you an opportunity to, in an organized way, daily pray for different things in our mission. And so that's how that card is set up. And I'd be happy to get that into your hands. It's just you reaching out to us and telling us that you want to be a part of our mailing list. Let me just say, you will never be asked for any kind of donation or money. With that mailing list, you'll get a quarterly publication called Light in the Hills that keeps you updated on news and events. You'll get to see some cool pictures in that news in that quarterly newsletter, Light in the Hills. But it'll also get you on our mailing list to be able to get that prayer guide and the annual calendar for events that's going on here at camp.
Good. Guys, be sure to check out campnathaniel.org, and you can also follow us on Facebook for all information going on at camp. And then if you haven't subscribed to the Voice of Camp Nathaniel podcast, make sure you do that, and you'll be notified every single time we release a new episode on the 1st and 15th of every month.
So we'll see you all here in a couple of weeks for our anniversary episode.
It's going to be big.
And
we say that because we're recording this in December. We haven't had anything planned yet.
We will plan something amazing for it. Don't worry.
All right, guys, have a great week. We'll talk to you later.